Okay, Islam, we'll give you this fight, but you have to vacate.
I don't hate the idea. Here's where my confusion comes in is how come these things aren't clearer? For example, if you ask Islam if you were stripped, Islam will say no. If you ask the UFC was this stripped, the UFC will say yes. I'm just not sure why these terms aren't clear. If Islam's goal was to go up to 170 so he could obtain champ status, but they take the 55-pound title away, they also take that opportunity to become champ away. But hear me out on this, because they did the same thing to Ilia Topuria, and Ilia is claiming that he wasn't stripped. In fact, not only is Ilia claiming he wasn't stripped, it was as recently as last week on the Errol Hawani program, they swore up and down that Ilia was promised a title shot, whether it involved Islam or not.
Comfortable then are like, all right, now he's proven himself at 155. And then potentially after Jack, now it makes more sense to have this super fight with Ilia Topuria now that he's proven himself at 155.
Of course, yeah, of course. That would make everybody happy, you know, if something like that were to happen and the UFC gods make those decisions and everybody accepts. That would be the ideal situation, you know. And again, like I said, these are actual facts of what could happen and are going to be discussed. I know that what we're talking about are discussions to be made. What will happen, we don't know, but we're pretty close. I'm pretty sure about that. I mean, it's very obvious. Anybody that's a real fan and follows the sport knows that, you know, this is the actual scenarios that.
So now you're the champion.
Yep.
The next step is defending it. They always say, you know, winning it's one thing, defending it is the next.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I feel like this is just the beginning, you know. It's a lot of work's been done, but this is the real work is now.
And so Islam Makhachev is the name that everyone's talking about. He's come up to welterweight, vacated his title. It's basically Dana's confirmed that he's your next challenger. So at least you've got that. When and where is still to be decided. How do you now prepare for that?
I mean, it's just I think Islam Makhachev is a better version of Bilal. I think his striking on the feet is I think it's more. I think it's an easier. The striking on the feet, I think it's easier than Bilal because he's more just he'll stay in one stance. He's more traditional style. But yeah, he's the pound for pound number one. So it's a tough fight. But I guess we'll just watch all these fights again, make a solid game plan, and then just start working at it. From pretty much now, I'm going to start working on.
Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena is the kind of fight that makes MMA so exciting. It's a battle where the best from different divisions collide, each bringing their own strengths, styles, and risks. Makhachev, the pound-for-pound king, wants to make history by claiming a second belt, but Jack, with his explosive striking and sharp takedown defense, stands in his way. This isn't a mismatch. This is a real fight that could go either way.
Jack, and naturally, not like he's not cutting weight type of vibes. I know.
What did you think about the Islam vacating the belt and going up and immediately getting a shot at the welterweight bout? And what do you think about that? And how different is that fight going to play out than what we saw versus Bilal?
That's going to be a great fight. Islam is working very hard. He's being vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's big. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he will not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know. I think he was a little okay. If you're going up, we gotta. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. And I like him moving up. I proving himself.
I think Islam Makhachev has done enough. He's beat Volk twice. He's beat pretty much everybody in the lightweight division. Charles Oliveira, he hasn't fought Justin Gaethje. I think it's time for him to have the opportunity to become a double champ. And I like this fight a lot. I like it a lot because, you know, they both move good on the feet. They both move a lot. Body kicks. You can definitely see Islam go for a double leg takedown, uses judo, his wrestling. And how would Jack Della respond? Jack Della's crisp on the feet as well with his hands, his straight punches. They're both big 170ers, and I'm excited.
Michael Bisping knows this better than most. He's not just throwing out hot takes or riding the hype train. Bisping's been around the game long enough to spot a genuine threat when he sees one, and Jack Della Maddalena is that threat. He's seen Islam dominate his opponents, but he also knows that stepping up a weight class class is no small thing. It's a whole different level of power, size, and danger. You're not just fighting the same fighters with a few extra pounds. You're stepping into a whole new world where every punch hits harder and every mistake costs more. Bisping was especially impressed by how Jack handled Belal Muhammad, a guy who's known for having the best cardio in MMA. Belal usually drowns his opponents in pressure, but Jack didn't just survive, he thrived. He shut down takedowns, kept landing clean shots, and made Belal look like he was fighting in slow motion at times. Bisping loved how Jack stayed calm, listened to his corner, and kept pinging Belal with sharp punches. He wasn't throwing wild shots, rather he was precise, measured, and dangerous every second of that fight. Bisping respects how Jack's game has evolved, and now he's not just a brawler, he's a smart, technical striker with solid takedown defense and fight IQ. Michael Bisping knows this better than most. He's not just throwing out hot takes or riding the hype train. Bisping's been around the game long enough to spot a genuine threat when he sees one, and Jack Della Maddalena is that threat. He's seen Islam dominate his opponents, but he also knows that stepping up a weight class is no small thing. It's a whole different level of power, size, and danger. You're not just fighting the same fighters with a few extra pounds. You're stepping into a whole new world where every punch hits harder and every mistake costs more. Bisping was especially impressed by how Jack handled Belal Muhammad, a guy who's known for having the best cardio in MMA. Belal usually drowns his opponents in pressure, but Jack didn't just survive, he thrived. He shut down takedowns, kept landing clean shots, and made Belal look like he was fighting in slow motion at times. Bisping loved how Jack stayed calm, listened to his corner, and kept pinging Belal with sharp punches. He wasn't throwing wild shots, rather he was precise, measured, and dangerous every second of that fight. Bisping respects how Jack's game has evolved, and now he's not just a brawler, he's a smart, technical striker with solid takedown defense and fight IQ.
Another day. So Islam has vacated the belt. He's going to take on Jack Della Maddalena. Now, when he was going to fight Belal, you probably saw Dana say, if he was to fight Belal, he would have been a big favorite.
Moving up to fight Jack, the odds makers have this fight at even.
And I'm not surprised because when you see Jack, what he did to Belal, the way that he pieced him up, the way that he stopped the takedowns, the way that he did get back to his feet when he was taken down, did it very, very technically, the way that he was pinging him, right, like his corner was asking for.
5 minutes to realize all your dreams. Let's go. Safety first, stay focused, keep pinging the...
He was pinging his head off. I'm not going to say see you next Tuesday work because YouTube will have a fit, okay?
That's fucking illegal.
But I love the work from the cornerman and I love the boxing from Jack.
Bisping also sees the risk in Islam's move. Sure, Islam's an incredible fighter, but moving up a weight class is a big ask. Bisping knows from experience where he's been in those situations where the jump in weight makes a huge difference. It's not just about your skill set, it's about whether your body and style can handle the extra size and power. Islam's been dominating at lightweight, but Jack brings a different kind of danger. Bisping knows that. That's why he's not just calling this a slam dunk for Islam. In his eyes, it's a real test, a fight that could easily go either way. Islam might be chasing greatness, but Jack is ready to spoil the party, and Bisping can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Takedown defense. And by the way, Belal Muhammad, best cardio in all of mixed martial arts. Jack Della Maddalena pushed him to the absolute limit. What I'm saying here is that this isn't a given for Islam Makhachev. This is a real fight, a real test. You want to move up a weight class? You want to test the waters up there? You're going to go straight in at the deep end and take on the champion? Massive opportunity. Become a two-weight division champion. Join the likes of Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, Amanda Nunes, George St. Pierre, Henry Cejudo. There's a few others. Maybe there is, there isn't. Let me know in the comment section who I'm forgetting. But he wants to do that, and that's his right. And fair play to him. And we're all excited for that. But it's not guaranteed that he wins that fight. And what happens then? Does he come back down?
While Michael Bisping sees Jack Della Maddalena as a real threat, Joe Rogan's take on the fight is crystal clear. Islam Makhachev is the man to beat. Joe has been hyping Islam for a while now, and the way he talks about him, it's obvious. He expects Islam to win. For Rogan, Islam is not just a champion, he's the boogeyman of the division. The guy who runs through elite contenders like they're nothing. Whether it's Oliveira or Dan Hooker, Rogan has seen Islam dismantle world-class opponents with ease, tapping them out like it's routine. Joe doesn't just throw out compliments for no reason. He's cage side for most of these fights. And when he says Islam is the pound for pound best, it means something. He talks about how Islam trains like a machine, how he's obsessed with the grind, and how he's peaking at just the right time when fight night rolls around. Rogan knows that level of obsession isn't normal. It's what separates champions from legends. He's seen fighters break under the pressure of big moments. But when it comes to Islam, Joe sees a man who thrives on it, who pushes his body to the edge and keeps going like a machine.
Of an obsession. So when you're obsessed with something, it doesn't require discipline because you can't wait to do it again. Mike Tyson said best. He said, discipline is doing something you hate, but doing it like you love it. You know, like when you're in training camp, you're pushing the limits of your physical endurance and recovery because you're trying to achieve an adaptation. You can't maintain fight ready fitness all year round. One thing that people don't understand about like fight ready, like when a guy like Islam Makhachev, who is the UFC lightweight champion, the pound for pound best fighter on earth, when that guy is fighting, when he gets into the cage on the day, whatever it is, that Saturday night, this is a peak of performance and training that cannot be maintained. He wants to catch it right when he's right there, when the body hasn't broken down yet. You're getting it to right when your body can recover and is forced to maintain this insane level of fitness, and then you have to take.
For Rogan, Islam isn't just another talented fighter, he's the truth. That's why when the cage door closes, Joe believes Islam is going to get the job done against Jack Della Maddalena. It's not just faith, it's what he's seen over and over again. A fighter who is levels above the rest, a champion who can't be stopped when he's at his peak. Islam Makhachev, in Joe's eyes, is a problem for anyone in the world, and Jack's just the next name on the list.
Yeah, that dude is on another level. I mean, he is the truth. I was always impressed with him. But, I mean, I was saying leading up to him getting a shot at the world title, he's the boogeyman of that division. He was the guy that everybody was saying, like, is the most dominant of all the contenders. And then when he tapped Dober, that was a big one. When he tapped Dan Hooker, that was a big one, too. It's like the way he's tapping these guys, who are these world-class fighters.
Building on Joe Rogan's confidence in Islam's skill and dominance, Javier Mendez takes a more cautious and realistic approach to predicting this fight. Mendez isn't rushing to call it a quick finish or a one-sided beatdown. Instead, he's preparing for a full 5-round war. His mindset is clear. No matter what you expect, whether it's a submission, a knockout, or complete control, you have to stay locked in and ready for anything.
I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, you know, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, you know, Islam is a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible.
Mendez explains that if you go into the fight thinking Islam will dominate early or finish fast, and that doesn't happen, you risk losing focus. For him, that's like one moment of distraction that can cause everything to go wrong, so he refuses to get caught up in assumptions. He stays engaged, watching every moment of the fight unfold, ready to adapt as things change. This means Mendez expects a tough, competitive battle. Both fighters will bring their best, and it could go the distance. He's preparing Islam to handle every round, knowing that fights rarely follow a script. To him, this is not about expecting an easy win, but about being ready to grind through whatever the fight demands, round after round. Following Javier Mendez's focus on a tough 5-round battle, Daniel Cormier brings up some important questions about Islam Makhachev moving up to 170 pounds. Cormier points out that we have never actually seen Islam fight at this weight before. He has always been dominant at lightweight, but now he has to deal with a whole new challenge, facing bigger, stronger fighters like Jack Della Maddalena. Cormier wonders if Islam's size will match up well against Jack, who naturally carries more weight and power. Even though Islam is a big lightweight, Daniel questions if he is as physically imposing as Jack. There are also concerns about how Islam is going to manage the weight change. If Islam was really small during International Fight Week, did he have enough time to gain the right amount of weight back? Getting bigger too fast or in the wrong way could affect his speed, stamina, or strength. These questions are important because moving up a weight class is never easy. It changes the way a fighter moves, hits, and defends. Cormier reminds us that it is not just about skill. There are physical adjustments and new challenges as well that Islam has to face. This fight will be a true test of how well Islam can handle fighting someone naturally bigger and stronger than him. Daniel's prediction is not just about who wins, but about how Islam adapts and performs under these new conditions.
It's a fantastic fight. It's a big-time fight. And if Jack Della looks the way he did last weekend, it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it. We've never seen him have to compete up 15 more pounds. Yes, he is a big dude. But in terms of full-on stature, is he big as Jack Della Maddalena is? And also, if he thought he may fight International Fight Week, how small had he gotten? And how much time does he have to put the weight back on the right way before he moves up to 170? A lot of questions.
Ilia Topuria has his own thoughts on this, and he's not holding back. Ilia believes this move up in weight isn't just about testing new waters. He sees it as a mental challenge for Islam. According to Ilia, when a fighter leaves a division before fully clearing it out, it leaves behind unfinished business, and that can weigh heavy on a fighter's mind. For Islam, Ilia thinks it's like he's stepping away from the heat at lightweight, where there are still sharks swimming. Ilia even draws a personal comparison. He says if he left featherweight before beating guys like Max Holloway, people would question his legacy. They'd wonder why he didn't stick around and prove himself against the top dogs. And that's exactly what he thinks could haunt Islam, especially if the critics start saying he left 155 to avoid tougher matchups. And that mental pressure doesn't just go away when you switch divisions. Ilia says it could show up in the fight itself, whether it's in the form of hesitation, self-doubt, or even second-guessing strategy. And when you're going up against someone like Jack Della Maddalena, who is a dangerous, powerful striker with a lot to prove himself, there's no room for hesitation.
Ilia, me gustaría que me dieras una predicción de Islam Makhachev contra Jack Della Maddalena. ¿Crees que pese a subir al welter se va a topar con una categoría demasiado grande para él y que va a perder?
Yo creo que Islam ahora mismo, es que no lo sé, ahora está en un momento que mentalmente yo creo que está roto, porque no creo que te venga de forma positiva el hecho de que sabes en tu interior que has abandonado una división por miedo, porque no hay ninguna otra explicación. Tú imagínate que yo hubiera abandonado peso pluma teniendo a un Max Holloway todavía que vencer en el peso, o a un contendiente que realmente se mereciera que estuviera barriendo a toda la división y que todo el mundo estuviera chillando su nombre. Pues, ¿qué te diría eso de mí? Bueno, pues no sé cómo le va a afectar a nivel mental eso en peso welter, pero no lo sé, la verdad. Ya con su vida lo que quiere.
So what does this all mean for Islam's chances? Will he rise to the occasion, prove the doubters wrong, and show that his skill set is just as deadly at 170? Or will this weight jump and the mental burden of unfinished business catch up with him when the octagon door closes? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Islam has what it takes to handle this massive challenge? Or is this a move that could backfire big time? Drop your predictions and takes in the comments below, and let's get the debate going. And of course, if you're enjoying the breakdowns and analysis, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another MMA update. See you in the next one.